today I left Momo at home because we're not going to talk about Europeans in Taiwan. We're going to talk about Taiwanese in Europe, but more about that later, because first I think we need to introduce today's guest, Stéphane, from the French Chamber here in Taipei.
So my name is Stéphane Péden. I'm the General Manager of the French Chamber of Commerce in Taipei. I've been in Taiwan for about 13 years right now. When I was in France, I studied business. During this program, I had to choose a specialty, either Japanese or Chinese, and we had to choose a school in order to do an exchange. I liked the idea to go to Taiwan because during our class we understood a little bit more about the geopolitical place of Taiwan in the world.
If you just try to look back now, like, do you remember, like, what was like the first thing you realized, like, you know what, this is not how we do it in France?
Kindness of people when I arrived in Taiwan. The way people welcome you when you arrive in Taiwan, it was still impressive for me. Like, it was protected, you know, it's like something a little bit different. Like if Taiwan was cut out of the world a little bit, and when you arrive, they just like welcome you with a warm heart, and everybody was nice. I remember I was under the rain and someone came with an umbrella. This is not something you really do in the Western.
How about now, like 13 years later? Is there anything now, if you look back at your time here, that you wish you would have known before coming to Taiwan?
Hard to say, because if I knew something else about Taiwan before to come, it would have changed my experience, and my experience was very amazing. However, I think if I had one thing to change is about the visa. So I thought with my landing visa I could just apply for my student visa right in Taiwan, and I didn't know I had to get out of Taiwan first. I was a student, so going to Hong Kong to do a visa when you're a student is pretty expensive, and I was like, how do I do that? So basically I went to Hong Kong on the morning. I thought I would be able to get the visa on the evening and come back, but I couldn't, but I didn't plan enough money to go there, so I stayed outside sleeping, and then I came back to Taiwan. I mean, it's student life, so it's okay at that time, but I didn't search enough about like the visa thing.
So funny. But the reason for why we're here is not only to talk about you, yes, because we do want to talk about the European Education Fair that is coming up on October 19th and 20th in Songshan Cultural and Creative Park, or more precise, the New Horizon Building, I think is the name in English.
It's actually where they do the Fashion Week.
Oh, okay, so if you've been to the Fashion Week, then I have not, as you can see. Don't worry, you have, of course, all the information and links and descriptions down in the description below. But the reason for why I'm talking to you is that you and the French Chamber are also highly involved in this education fair.
Yes.
Can you even like be a student in France if you don't already speak French?
Of course, I know we are not famous to speak English too much. This changed a little bit, especially if you're a student. And most of the program we have in France will have the course in English. And right now we have a lot of opportunities as well to use the train for students to visit other countries in Europe. And once you have a Schengen visa, you can go anywhere. So
yeah. Also very cheap plane tickets to Sweden.
Yes.
What advice could you give to Taiwanese students that they should know before coming to France?
What I saw in my school in France, where we had a lot of Asian people, sometimes they tend to stick with each other, study a lot, when French people sometimes tend to study, but not too much, but they also hang out with each other, talk and speak, try to debate about a lot of things. And I think if a Taiwanese person go to Europe, try to get
study less.
No, you continue to study as you do, but don't forget to mingle with the people over there. Don't forget to mingle with all the international students, with the French students, to learn how they live their life in Europe. You will also understand how they think, how they live, how they manage their study, how they manage their life. Everybody learns from each other, and this will be very valuable later on in your professional life, because a lot of companies will be interested to have an employee who can link with the headquarters in France, for example, and also being able to understand the local staff in Taiwan. It's a soft skill that you learn by going abroad and coming back. Understand two cultures. And you have to know that there is a lot of scholarship. There is also opportunities for international students to access specific location for students that will be cheaper than normal.
Other than going and visiting the education fair on October 19th and 20th, what else can people do if they want more information about studying in France in particular?
Contact the French office in Taipei because they have a different scholarship program. And you also need to go to the European fair where you have a booth dedicated to that, because this fair is promoting France on our side, but it's promoting all the European countries. So when you go there, you will have specialists, professional people dedicated to answer your question about how to study in Europe in general.
I was so surprised last year, how many different booths and different countries we're talking about. And this year, it's actually going to be over 100 different organizations from over 11 different countries as well. Not that I don't trust you, Stefan, but I think that in order to learn even more about how it is to be a Taiwanese student in Europe, we need to ask some experts who has already been studying in Europe.
I'm Ting and I studied German in Taiwan, and for my exchange year in Germany, I also studied German.
I am Jacqueline. I did a business administration in Taiwan. For my master, I'm doing a double degree in France and Germany in a master in management and innovation.
How was Europe, and what was the main difference between studying in Europe and studying here in Taiwan?
All the courses I joined in Germany is seminar, so I will say in the class you will never be boring and you have to be 100% focused because the professor will ask you question every time.
Students in Taiwan are more shy, so not a lot of people would raise their hands and shout out their own answers. So that's pretty uncommon in Taiwan for people to interact with them.
Sounds like you went to France.
Exactly, and that was also what I was going to say, because I think the biggest difference between Taiwan and France, people were so interactive in class. You would see people I had German classmates, they have their hands always ready to be raised so that they...
Oh, for real?
Yeah, they knew how important presence is in class, so they're always ready to answer something even though they don't know the answer yet.
Yeah.
They just wanted to participate. But that also works because that student also got a really good grade in the class. But I think he also learned a lot by interacting with the professor and having a lot of discussions.
So you both have been there for a whole year, 2 semesters. From your first day in Europe to your last day. Did you feel you know what, now this is the new normal? Or did it still feel weird towards the end of the year?
All of my friends were from different countries, so everyone knew what it's like coming from a different country, and so everyone blended in pretty well. It was just the beginning, how you had to get used to the weather and how to interact with different people in full English. But other than that, I think there's not a really big challenge for fitting in. Yeah.
It's very funny that you mentioned weather being one of the biggest struggles that I had.
No, that was really because
moving over myself across the world, the weather was terrible. Outside of the studies, outside of the classroom, did you learn anything else during the year you were abroad? Either just knowledge in general, or maybe something about yourself as well?
I think
very European of you, raising your hand before
No, I had it. Sorry.
We're in Taiwan now. Wait for your turn.
I think know how to refuse others. Because in Taiwan we don't dare to refuse others so directly. We will say, do you have time tomorrow? And maybe you don't want to go, but you will say, I will think about it and I will tell you later. But in Europe, I think all of my friends, if I ask if they don't have time, they just say, no, I can't, or I don't want to go there.
The mindset of creating something for yourself. For example, I started a podcast with a friend in France, and that was something I never dared to do in Taiwan. I felt like I had to focus on my schoolwork, I had to focus on career. I never really dared to do something bigger or different than what was meant to be. I think that's also something I found really interesting. By interacting with different people, you learn so many different things, and that's also something we don't really do in Taiwan. We don't really reach out to total strangers and say, let's have a coffee chat. But I think that's also something really common in Europe, where you just hit up someone and say, I find your story very interesting, let's have a coffee chat. And I think that's really cool.
You both seem very studious and very renzen in school. So I assume that you did a lot of research before going to Germany and France. Was there still something that kind of surprised you about the countries, about Europe, or about like your daily life, like maybe in school, but also like outside of school?
The Deutsche Bahn, the German train.
Oh,
Oh my God,
I
that's
already know where this is going.
schrecklich.
Yeah.
It's like never on time. And when the train on time and you feel like so lucky.
Amazing how how the Germans were so calm. Like they were already used to this whole thing, and then they were just reading their books as if nothing just happened.
I didn't get a scholarship in Taiwan, but when I studied in Heidelberg University, and when I arrived there, I tried to search for scholarship in Germany. And I think in Germany, in different Bundesland, in different
municipals or areas.
Yeah,
or
area.
区, as we say in Taiwan.
They provide their own scholarship, and I tried to apply for the scholarship, and I got it. And it's like a lot.
Nice. That was another question as well. A lot of Taiwanese people that I talk with, they're worried that it's just going to be like so much more expensive.
I think excluding travel expense, I don't think there would be much difference. Like, because I cook a lot in my dorm, so basically it's the same grocery shopping every week. But I spent quite a bit of money on traveling to Iceland, to Italy, to different countries.
Okay.
So I think that's
it's
the main difference.
It's an unfair comparison right now.
But to be honest, the amount of money you pay to travel from Taiwan to Iceland versus the amount of money you pay from traveling from France to Iceland is so much different. Like, it's so much cheaper and it's worth it. So
I know, like, because I'm going to Iceland like in October, so
it's amazing, like going to somewhere you've never seen, all those like landscape and Northern Light. It's worth it. But back to the question, I would say living cost is a lot different because, for example, in Munich per month you have to pay 1,000 euro, which is like 30K,
30,000,
35K Taiwanese dollars. Comparing with Taipei, I think it's just 10K per month.
yeah, like average is 10K.
But if you cook, if you buy everything yourself, I don't think it'll make much difference.
In Germany, it's really cheap comparing to Taiwan. Like the vegetables, the milk. When I were there, the milk is only €1, and in Taiwan is €3, like a box.
And yogurt is also super cheap.
Also.
Thank you for reminding me. That's like the number one thing. People are like, what do you miss most about Sweden? I'm like, cheap milk.
Oh, really?
Because growing up in Sweden, you eat milk and cereal, you drink milk. It's like everyday kind of thing.
And that's why you so like.
Exactly. We have great teeth and we're super tall.
Really, that has to do with teeth, milk and teeth.
Bones.
Yeah, bones, like
Okay.
the calcium, yeah. You talked about like traveling. Did you do a lot of traveling, like other than Iceland? Did you travel around like main part of Europe as well? Or did you just stay in your dorms and studied like good students?
I travel like so much. Not most of the exchange students, they travel a lot.
Yeah.
But I travel once a month.
Wow.
Wow.
But that's not-
when you say travel, like just one type of traveling you did?
I will go to like other country, not in Germany.
Once per month, another country?
Yeah, but just like 3 or 4 days. Cause
Okay, still enough, I feel like. Yeah, more than enough.
so sometimes I have 4 days in a row. Then I will search for cheap flights, and that will be my destination.
Wow.
But it's really tired.
I know a lot of exchange students also do couch surfing, right? Like they just crash in someone's couch or sofa, and then they get like very cheap or even free living.
Yeah, I also did that like once or twice.
This is like so not what all the parents who are watching this want to hear right now. They'll be like, okay, should we let our kid go to Europe?
Oh my, I'm sorry.
They will be safe. They will be well taken care of. Like we're gonna set in an apartment in the dorms, crashing, sleeping at strangers' house in different countries.
That's a part of growing up and learning how to, differentiate what's good and what's bad.
And something else that is super helpful as well is, of course, to go and visit the European Education Fair, October 19th and 20th in Songshan Cultural and Creative Park. Of course, you will have all the possible links, addresses, and everything else down in the description, together with links to travel YouTube channel and a career development podcast there as well. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Lucas. Starts with L as in like, ends with S, and to subscribe. Please do both, and see you all in the next one.
Bye.